Um, I'm gonna go to the next question. Somebody asked and said, "What word of encouragement would you give to the people experiencing anxiety and those that are worried about what the future holds? For example, what the new normal could be."
I think anxiety is something that, and anything related to mental health is something that most of us, if not all of us, go through at some point in our lives. And so do I. It may happen at different levels. So the first thing to do, I think, is to not blame yourself. Blaming yourself for feeling bad. And like I said earlier, you might be privileged to be in a home and, be with your families, but you still feel anxious. And what tends to happen is we tend to blame ourselves, saying that, oh my God, I am this privileged. How dare I feel anxious? There are people who don't know what to eat. So then you blame yourself and you worsen your condition. So feeling anxious is absolutely okay. And you've really got to be kind to yourself. What helps in accepting the new normal is we don't know. Uncertainty is something that I individually very much struggle with as well. I like knowing things. But if there's one thing that life has taught me is that change is the only thing that is certain. So when the whole world is with you, the whole world is with you and in anticipation, in looking what's next. But most you can do is enjoy today and brace yourself for whatever comes tomorrow. What helps is fact checking. I've often found that when we're like, oh my God, what is happening? Is the human race going to end? Is the economy going to crash? What is going to happen? When you look at facts, it really helps you deal with things as well, to say that, something similar had happened. So the numbers are declining. The curve is flattening out. When you feed yourself those facts, it helps. And besides that, I think when we look at life, so there's two ways to look at it, right? To say that, oh my God, if everything's going to go bad, then why bother? But then to say, oh, everything's going to pretty much end sometime, maybe not sooner or later, but we all are here for a limited time. I think when we remind ourselves of that, not as something to be sad about, to say that, oh, you know what, I'm going to die someday, to say that, oh my God, I've just got a limited amount of years or limited amount of time to be here. So what am I really going to do? So to those dealing with anxiety, dealing with mental health issues, we're with you. You've got to be that person of help to someone else some other day. But for now, look for people, look for things that can help. You're not in this alone, and this will get over. This will be over.
Yeah, I love that.
Just faith.
You talking to me. I need that information right now, because we all go through a lot of like mental stuff, and we're like, oh, how am I gonna do? How am I gonna deal with this? So I feel like you've been talking to me. This has been a little bit personal, so thank you for that.
I'm just sharing what I go through every day, and like I said, some days I will need that talk as well. It comes in a cycle, all these feelings come in a cycle, and just got to have faith. Not every day is going to be happy. It is not humanly possible to be happy and see the good in things every time. But you can make yourself, when you don't feel like doing a lot. Some days I spent 90% of my day on my bed yesterday, legit. But then you force yourself to get up. You force yourself to take that shower. Get yourself to listen to that song. Start scribbling, and maybe you'll start painting. The sensation of touch really helps sometimes. So maybe go to your garden, maybe wash those makeup brushes. When you put yourself into action, when you put your body into motion, when your mind is not working, that really helps.
Yeah, you actually talked about makeup brushes. At the start of quarantine, I was like, I'm so bored, I need to do something. And then I was like, oh my God, my brushes need a wash. And I had to wash them. Like, I was looking at, I was starting to notice things that I haven't been, doing. And I'm like, okay, I need to do this. So I think, looking at it in a positive way. And also for me, I'm now with my family, spending time with my family is like one of the things that I always wanted, because I always been, out of the country.
On the go,
Yeah, so I've been like, I feel really, really grateful for the quarantine right now, because I'm with the people that love me and appreciate me. So positive. So you talked about some things to do during quarantine, but that was going to be another question. But actually, somebody asked and say, this is a common question that I said. It's been asked so many times. I think people are wondering how best they can use their time during quarantine to grow themselves and better themselves and come out of this stronger than ever before.
I think reading makes it on the top of my list. Reading in general, not just during this time, is, I feel like as humans, we have this tendency to, so when advice comes from people that we know, say from your parents or from your sibling or from your friend, you're like, oh, what do you know? I know better. That's like human tendency. Right. You read it off of a book and you see it in a movie and then you're like, oh, wow. This is something that makes sense, right? So reading is a very good step for personal development, and there's so many ebooks available. If you don't have physical books, and I myself have been getting into some self-help books. It's so I think that can be a great first step to be productive. But then, other than that, making a schedule for at least 4 days of a week, I think really helps. You've got to allow yourself to sit back and do nothing, because when else are you going to have this time to do absolutely nothing? But maybe for 4 days a week, you at least have a schedule, right? Yeah. That you meditate, that you exercise, that you read at least for an hour, or you watch a series. So for me personally, having that list and looking back and saying that, oh, what if someone asks me, what did you do during this quarantine? Oh, okay. I relaxed a lot as well, but along with that, I read these 2 books and I completed this one series, and I started research on this one thing that I always wanted to do. So having that checklist of things that I did really helps.
Right. Oh, by the way, are you still studying?
Me, no, I graduated. So I did my bachelor's in commerce. I graduated in 2017, and now I'm doing some research about my higher education.
Right. So this is just a random question from me. Just I want to know how the students in Nepal are coping with distance learning. Is it being practiced, or is it like here? Because in Uganda, we don't have, not everybody has a computer. Not everybody has a tablet or a smartphone. So it's even very, very harder here to study online. So I have some of the kids that I see, just playing around every single day, and they're actually super excited because for them it's like a holiday. It's not, they don't care about Corona. So how is the situation like? Are the kids in Nepal studying online, or what?
I think for the higher education part, that there's always been a disparity in between the education level, and that was showcased, I guess, somewhat in the project as well, in mostly in government schooling and private schooling, public education and private education. And this has just put more light on the gap that we need to close in terms of education, because it's just this method of learning is so new, So from what I see in more urban areas, in a more urban setting, especially in higher level of education. So I know of friends who are doing their master's degree online. So they do presentations online and, they submit reports. They are pretty much okay. But you look at people even doing schooling, even in private schools, even in the capital city, the method of delivery, it's not just the student's end, but, the content is not made for online delivery. So it is difficult. We are so used to that human contact that it is very difficult. And the situation is even worse in areas where there is no internet connection. And say in places like my community project site as well, where there is internet and tabs have been given, we've not really been used to this method of teaching. Physical proximity has always been such a big part. When I studied university in Australia, that was my biggest struggle, that I was so used to being in front of a teacher, being with my friends on the same bench to learn, that suddenly studying in front of a laptop had no motivation in me. It didn't make sense. So I think it's shed light on the fact that we need to work in this area as well.
Yeah, you're right. Because some students really love when the teacher is right in front of them, and they learn better.
Yeah, I was one of them.
Some of them are using the laptops for games, or so. You told me to study online, we need to talk about that really. Okay, so I think this is gonna be the last question. Probably the second last question. Self-caring. So this is, somebody asks you that how are you self-caring during this time, and what are you doing? I think you actually answered this.
Yeah, pretty much.
You really answered this. So I'll ask you another question from Africa. So Africa is I should say, very young continent. We have very, young people, and they actually don't know what to do with the time they have right now. You give them some of the things to do. So, what are those some of the things that they should do to protect themselves against contacting coronavirus? Because the government is issuing regulations like stay at home, social distancing. But trust me, once you step out, once I step out on the streets out there, people are hugging, people are greeting each other, people are like this close. So like people here are used to like spreading love, and like they're like, no, I don't think I'm gonna get that. So I would love to get it from you to them and the entire Africa. How best can we, control and the spread of coronavirus?
So once the lockdown is out, I think it's just put light on how much we need human contact, like how much holding hands is important, how much hugging is important, and that is fine. But let us look at the two possibilities, right? I said this to my mother the day I came back, because what had happened was I was in Sydney right before the lockdown, and I made it just in time before the national lockdown began. Otherwise, I would have been stuck in Sydney as well, stuck in Australia as well. So as soon as I came back, even my mother, she really wanted to hug me. And she was like, oh, nothing's going to happen. Just hug me. And I was like, okay, mom. And this is what I would say to everyone as well. So either you hug me because you really, really want to right now, and I want to hug you too. But if we just stay away for 2 weeks, what is going to happen? Like, what is there to lose? If we do hug, there is a lot that could go wrong, even if there is the slightest possibility that I could infect you, and then you in turn will infect our family. Are you willing to risk that 1% for that hug? I know it seems so important right now, I'm sure there's so many couples that have been away for so long that they can't wait to meet and hug, and even family members. But really, if we put things into perspective, accept that, yes, I feel the need to go to my family and to go to my friends and just enjoy life. I mean, return to my own sense of normalcy. What is there to lose? I could be affecting myself, my family, and my community. Because let's not forget, if we look at some countries as examples, the numbers went from 1 to 2 to 100 to thousands, right? Are you going to risk yourself being that one person that spread things in your country? If you practice social distancing as recommended for a few more weeks, because this is not going to be there forever, for a few more weeks, if you practice restraint as instructed by the professionals, then there is nothing actually to lose. But if it does spread, the consequences of that will be so, so damn dramatic, especially for developing countries like ours, like mine, that I'd rather not risk it. You put that into perspective, and then, you hold back.
Yeah, I feel you. That would have been hard for your mom and you, to hold that hand. Because usually when people travel, they're like, oh, we'll come back, good to see you, and a hug and a kiss. Oh my God, like stay away from me, but in a good way.
Yeah, I know. So that was difficult, right? And I saw that as an example. If just in our family it was so difficult to sort of stay away, then what it could mean on a larger scale. It's the same thing as, we say that, oh, I'm just going to go to a walk, for a short walk. If 50 people say the same thing, you would have everyone on the street. So we've really got to remember that whatever action we take, imagine it times 100.
Yeah. Actually, what you just said is like you've been watching the news here in Uganda, because what happened was one person said, let me go out for a jog. And then 100 other people had the same idea. And then they're on the same street, and then they're creating a whole group of people. And then the next day, the president was like, you know what? No more jogging. If you want to work out in your room.
Yeah.
So right now, because of that, we're not actually allowed to even go outside for a jog. So you're absolutely right. So, Anushka, really thanks for your time. But before we close this all, I want to hear a message of hope from you to the entire world, to the people watching right now, that this is not the end of the world. Everything is gonna be okay. Just say it the way you want in your own words.
So any emergency situation really gives you a chance as an individual, as a family, as a community, as a country to look inward. And in a sense, it gives you a blank slate. So if you look at this as an opportunity, maintaining a balance between taking a break and really becoming the person, the family, the community, or the country that you aspire to become, this can mark the start of everything that you wanted to become, be it through developing yourself, taking the first step towards whatever career or whatever profession or whatever learning you've always wanted to. You really have the time to sit down in front of a mirror and reflect. The race will begin very soon. You know, once the economies reopen, everything's going to start, and everyone, the race of life is going to begin, where you won't be competing with each other, but you'll be competing with yourself. So at least right now, if you had been running without thinking where you're running, now is the time to at least plan your direction. When the race of life restarts, which direction do you want to start running in? Let's just take this as an open slate to, again, I repeat, become the person, become the family, become the country that we aspire to become. And then we can look back and say, you know, hey, during COVID 2020, that is where my journey to all this happiness began. It was here when I really sat back. I had my notebook out and I planned all of this, and I really discovered what I really wanted. So this is definitely, we're all in this together, and this will be over soon. Let's just have a really good backup story.
In union.
It is.
Right?
Yes, it is.
You said everything. I can't even add on a single word, honestly, because I feel like you said everything, and I hope the people watching have picked up points from what you said. I hope you guys had your pens and writing these things down, because I was writing these things down. So I really appreciate your time once again, and thank you.
Thank you for doing this, Liv. There's a lot of love from Nepal pouring in for you. And lots of love to you, your country, and whatever you're doing as an initiative. It does mean a lot. I think we've got to know a lot about your part of the country as well. I'm sure a lot of us will be looking it up as well. And yes, we will speak soon. Thank you so very much for connecting us.
We'll definitely speak soon. You give somebody a hug for me after Corona. There is a little guy.
Yes!
The little guy, I love him. He's so adorable. When you see him next time after Corona, and all the other students, by the way, we're sending them so much love from Uganda, and really, really so much love. Good job.
Thank you so much, sir. Cannot wait to talk more, and